enforce immigration laws, sanctuary cities across the country have potentially faced the risk of losing federal funds if they refuse to cooperate with immigration officials. But you know, one congressman took action last July in the Appropriations Committee that uses the power of the purse to deny some Department of Justice funds, and he says all it awaits to go into action is a simple signature. That congressman joins us now. He is John Culberson of Houston. He's the chairman of the House Appropriations, Commerce, Justice, and Science Subcommittee. Congressman, good to see you this morning. So you say this fund cutoff could actually be implemented on day one?
Yes, Eric. In fact, using existing law and the power of the purse, I have seen to it that the top 10 sanctuary cities in America have already been certified as violating existing federal law, and therefore everything is pre-positioned for these 10 cities, including Chicago, New York, the entire state of California. They will lose all their federal law enforcement money if President Trump chooses to. The president can cut off their money at noon on January 20th of 2017 if they do not change their sanctuary policies and hand over criminal illegal aliens in their custody to be deported. Their days of receiving federal law enforcement money are over.
No, obviously, this is something that the Obama administration has not agreed with.
Well, in fact, I, as chairman of the subcommittee in charge of all the money for the Department of Justice, I quietly persuaded Attorney General Loretta Lynch to implement this new policy this past July 7th. So it's already done. I did it as subcommittee chairman using existing law and the influence of the power of the purse that the founding fathers so wisely entrusted to Congress. I did it quietly and thoughtfully, and I didn't embarrass anybody. So it's already done. Everything's pre-positioned.
It's pre-positioned, but hasn't
cut off.
I'm sorry, pre-positioned, but hasn't gone into action.
They've already been the Attorney General Lynch has already notified every city and state in the country that unless they cooperate 100% of the time with requests for immigration information about criminal aliens in local custody, then those local jurisdictions lose all their federal law enforcement money. That's already up on the Department of Justice website. It has been official policy since July 7th. I just didn't make any noise about it because the purpose of this election, America wants us to get her done, to get the job done. So I've taken care of it. The job is done, and President Trump can now cut off their money at noon on January 20th because it's been policy since July 7th, and they've had...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to show the folks what you're talking about. When you do the top 10 cities and jurisdictions, you're talking about $342 million or more for the top 10. California, $132 million. New York City, $60 million in these special grant funds from the DOJ. But you also say they may owe the federal government a refund. The top 10 more than $8 billion. California, $3 billion. New York, $1 billion. How can they owe a refund to the federal government? Can you explain that?
Because that's the official policy of the Department of Justice that I persuaded them to post on July 7th of this year. The Department of Justice notified all these cities that unless you change your sanctuary policy, comply with federal law 100% of the time, you are no longer eligible, so they will lose all their money on January 20th. And if you continue to defy and refuse to get rid of your sanctuary policy, New York City, Chicago, California, Connecticut, and all these others will owe a refund of every dollar they've ever received from the federal government under these Department of Justice programs. And these are minimum figures, Eric. The state of California, if they will not change their law, will owe us, U.S. taxpayers, $1.2 billion. City of Chicago will have to write a refund check to American taxpayers for $91 million. And Mayor de Blasio, you get to choose between protecting criminal aliens in your custody, Mr. Mayor, or refunding if you continue to protect illegal aliens, Mr. Mayor. You just a refund.
You just mentioned Mayor de Blasio. I mean, Congressman, the mayor's saying this would be devastating. I mean, they are saying that they will protect sanctuary cities, they will protect undocumented immigrants in their cities. Let me play a soundbite of Mayor de Blasio, who yesterday again vowed that he will not cooperate with the federal authorities except for some crimes when you're dealing with this issue. Let's listen.
If undocumented people feel that local police forces are in effect deportation forces, that it will actually hurt the work of law enforcement and make it harder to keep our cities safe. So I think people in their own communities will set their own standards, but we have to fix the national policy.
So, Congressman, what would you say to him that this would be potentially catastrophic?
That is his decision. If the mayor of New York, the mayor of Chicago, the governor of California want to protect criminal, illegal aliens in their jurisdictions, that's their decision. But don't ask for federal money. The new policy that I instituted as new chairman of the Commerce Justice Science Subcommittee is if you want federal money, follow federal law. And President Trump and Attorney General Sessions, I'm confident they're going to do the same thing. And everything's now pre-positioned for New York, Chicago, California to lose their federal money. But it's their decision. If you want to protect criminal aliens, don't ask for federal money. Those days are over when you can collect a check from the federal government and ignore federal requests for information to deport criminal aliens. Those days are over.
All right, we'll see.
And if you don't change your policy, you're going to have to write us a refund check.
Yeah, well,
That'll
January
get their attention.
yeah, it probably would. January 20th, they vowed not to cooperate, and we'll see how this goes. Congressman, good to see you. Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
This program is brought